Rome. Nay, the emperor's palace. Behind that door sleeps the most powerful man on earth. He commands armies. He owns the world. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers swore to die for him, but only one man is guarding that door right now. The man standing in the corridor. And that man, if he wanted to, could walk through that door and make a different emperor by morning. The Praetorian Guard, the elite within the elite, the highest paid soldiers in the history of Rome, the only armed unit permitted inside the sacred walls of the city. They protected emperors. They murdered emperors. They literally auctioned the throne to the highest bidder. Who were these men? How did you get into the most exclusive military brotherhood of the ancient world? And why did the unit built to protect power become the single greatest threat to it? This is the full breakdown of the Praetorian Guard. To understand the Praetorians, you need to understand the moment that created them. 44 BC. Julius Caesar. Senate floor. 23 stab wounds. From men he trusted, in broad daylight. Octavian, the future Augustus, Rome's first emperor, drew a simple conclusion. No amount of power means anything if you have no one watching your back. In 27 BC, he formally established the Praetorian Guard. 9 cohorts, roughly 4,500 men at first. Later up to 16,000 under certain emperors. The name comes from Praetor, the highest military magistrate of the Old Republic. His personal escort was called the Cohors Praetoria. Augustus took that tradition and turned it into something that would reshape Roman history. He placed 3 cohorts inside Rome, the rest in nearby Italian cities, Capua, Puteoli, Naples. Why split them up? Pure political calculation. Stationing 9,000 armed soldiers visibly in the capital looked too much like what it was, a military dictatorship. Rome still pretended to be a republic. That pretense ended with Tiberius, the next emperor. He consolidated all cohorts into one place, the Castra Praetoria, the Praetorian camp, a fortress built directly against the walls of Rome. From that moment forward, every emperor woke up knowing, behind that wall 9,000 men with swords. If they're with me, I rule. If they're not, I die tonight. You didn't walk up and enlist. The barriers were real, and they were stacked. First, origin. Augustus recruited exclusively from Italy and old Latin colonies. Not provincials, not foreigners. Roman blood, Roman tongue, Roman values. This changed under Septimius Severus in the late 2nd century. He purged the existing guard after they backed the wrong side in a civil war and replaced them with soldiers from his Danubian legions. He wanted men loyal to him personally, not to Rome as an idea. But that was the exception. Italic origin was the rule. Second, prior service. Unlike a legionary who could be recruited almost from scratch, a Praetorian candidate needed real combat experience behind him, typically several years in a legion. You already knew how to kill. You'd already been tested. Only then were you considered. Third, recommendation. You didn't apply. You were put forward. A serving Praetorian or senior officer vouched for you. The system worked like a closed guild from the inside out, never from outside in. Fourth, appearance and conduct. The standard physical requirements applied citizenship. No disability, but they were enforced more strictly. And beyond that, how you carried yourself. A Praetorian didn't hide in a formation behind a shield wall. He stood at the emperor's door. He was seen by senators, foreign ambassadors, aristocrats. He was the face of imperial power. The way he stood mattered. The result, From hundreds of thousands across the Roman military, a few thousand made it in, roughly 1 in 50, in the best periods. Now for the part that explains everything. Because Praetorians didn't just live differently from regular soldiers, they lived in a different world. Under Augustus, a Praetorian earned 3 times what a legionary made. 3 times. A legionary received roughly 225 denarii per year. A Praetorian around 750. And that was just the base rate. Every time a new emperor came to power, he paid each Praetorian a donativum, a personal cash gift to secure their loyalty. When Claudius took power in 41 AD, he handed every guardsman 15,000 sesterces. That's more than a legionary earned in a decade. This set a precedent every emperor after him had to match or exceed, because the message was clear: the guard's loyalty was not given, it was purchased. Service length. A legionary served 25 years, a Praetorian 16, 9 years less. For 3 times the salary, do the math on what that meant over a career. Conditions. The Castra Praetoria was not a field camp. Permanent stone barracks, bathhouses, workshops, administrative infrastructure. By the standards of the ancient world, it was comfort. Status. In Roman society, a Praetorian outranked every ordinary soldier by definition. He was visible, known by face. After discharge, a prestigious veteran status and land in the fertile regions of Italy. This wasn't just a military contract. It was a contract with Rome itself. But the price was simple and brutal. You had to make the right choice at the right moment, because the right moment always came. On the surface, a Praetorian looked similar to a legionary. Same basic framework: sword, shield, armor. But the differences were deliberate and meaningful. Shield. The legionary carried the scutum, the large rectangular curved shield built for the battle line. The Praetorian used an oval or round shield, often decorated. Why? Because the function was different. The scutum was designed for a wall of men pressing forward together. The oval shield was the weapon of a man standing alone at a door, or walking 3 steps behind an emperor in a crowded corridor. Armor. Noticeably superior quality, better metal, better fit, better finish. Some Praetorians are depicted in muscled cuirasses, cast bronze breastplates molded to follow the anatomy of the chest and abdomen. An expensive, prestigious piece of equipment that regular legionaries almost never wore. On parade, white or deep crimson cloaks, the visual marker that separated them from the gray mass of the legions. The pugio. Beyond the gladius, many Praetorians carried the pugio, a military dagger. Short, concealable, easy to draw in a confined space. The pugio killed more Roman emperors than any battlefield weapon. We'll come back to that. Here is the fact that defines the Praetorian Guard more than anything else. They murdered more emperors than all of Rome's foreign enemies combined. Think about that for a moment. Persians, Parthians, Germanic tribes, Huns, every external threat Rome ever faced killed fewer rulers than the men standing outside the throne room door. This wasn't random, it was structural. You create a group of men who are better armed than anyone else in the city, closer to power than anyone else in the empire, paid 3 times what any other soldier earns, fully aware that the next man on the throne will pay them whatever they ask. That's not a bodyguard unit. That's a loaded weapon pointed at the palace. 4 years of humiliations, executions, and open contempt for everyone around him. Praetorian tribune Cassius Chaerea struck first. Other guard officers joined immediately. Caligula received 30 stab wounds. The guard then found his uncle Claudius hiding behind a curtain, dragged him out, declared him emperor. Not the Senate, not the people, not the legions. The Praetorians chose the next ruler of the world. The year of the 4 emperors, 69 AD. 4 emperors, 12 months. Galba, murdered by Praetorians, he refused to pay the promised donative. Otho proclaimed emperor by those same Praetorians that same night. Vitellius won the civil war with provincial legions. Vespasian ended it with eastern armies. The Guard had been kingmakers and executioners 4 times in a single year. The throne auction, 193 AD. This is the moment that still reads like fiction. The Guard murdered Pertinax, a capable emperor, but careful with money. Then they walked to the camp walls and announced, the throne was for sale. Whoever paid most would have their support. 2 wealthy senators began bidding. Didius Julianus offered 25,000 sesterces per guardsman. He won the auction. He became Emperor of Rome. He ruled for 66 days until the legions arrived and had him executed. The throne of the civilized world sold like livestock at a market. 96 AD, Rome. September 18th, Domitian had ruled for 15 years. He had executed senators on suspicion alone. He demanded to be addressed as Lord and God. By 96 AD, almost everyone around him lived in daily fear of death, including his wife, Domitia, including 2 Praetorian prefects, Norbanus and Petronius Secundus. They planned together. A freedman named Stephanus was chosen to deliver the killing blow. For several days, he walked the palace with his arm in a sling, pretending to nurse an injury. Under the bandage, a dagger. On September 18th, he entered Domitian's private chamber with documents. While the emperor read, Stephanus drove the blade into his groin. Domitian grabbed at the dagger with his bare hands, sliced his fingers to the bone, called for help. No one came. 4 more men entered, finished the job. When the uninvolved Praetorians learned of the death, they demanded the killers be handed over. But the Senate had already declared a new Emperor Nerva within hours. Too late. This killing revealed the central paradox of the Guard. Even a deeply paranoid tyrant, surrounded by thousands of armed men, is vulnerable to the people he trusts enough to let inside. 312 AD. The Battle of the Milvian Bridge. Constantine marched on Rome. Maxentius stood against him with his Praetorians at his side. Constantine won. Maxentius drowned in the Tiber, and Constantine did what every emperor before him had only dreamed of. He disbanded the Praetorian Guard, completely, permanently. The Castra Praetoria, 3 centuries of Rome's most powerful military fortress, was demolished. Some of its stones went into the construction of the Basilica of Constantine. 300 years, 12 emperors murdered, 1 throne auctioned, ended in a single afternoon. Constantine replaced them with the Scholae Palatinae, recruited primarily from Germanic barbarians, deliberately. Men with no Roman political ambitions, men who had no interest in making emperors. He had understood what his predecessors never could. A bodyguard must not want to be king. Rome built the perfect bodyguard. Best soldiers, best weapons, best pay, closer to power than anyone, trusted above all others. And that perfect bodyguard killed 12 emperors, sold the throne, decided the outcome of civil wars, not because these were evil men, but because a system built entirely on money and proximity to power eventually stops serving power and starts serving itself. Next episode, we stay inside the Roman war machine. We're looking at a unit that gets far less attention than the legionary or the guard. But without them, the legion couldn't attack. couldn't retreat, and couldn't survive. Subscribe. Next episode is coming.